Hello. I am alive, despite what people said about me getting the COVID shot and how it was supposedly gonna kill me right afterwards. Reality is often not as exciting as people make it out to be. The truth is that instead of a government conspiracy or whatever these people like to say, it was just lack of motivation and depression. Now, I need to explain my position on how this happened to me in the first place, because this isn't the first time, in case if someone is somehow getting from my main dead channel to here, and if somehow someone is watching this. But I am not exactly new to taking massive hiatuses, and despite what people might think, it's not because of no growth, it's because it's just the way that I am. I'm in the unique position where I am not rich, I don't really have money, but I don't exactly have to work, and I can't really go to school either. So I have a lot of free time. Now I know a lot of people would kill for that free time, especially when they are young instead of waiting to get free time when they are older. But the thing that people don't realize is that just because you have free time doesn't mean you're going to do the things that you say you would. Let's say you're working 9 to 5 like how I used to before the world sort of ended. You're working 9 to 5 and you're thinking about all the things you're gonna do as soon as you get off, whether that be writing that novel or reading a book or whatever sort of thing that you can do that makes you a better person. But then as soon as you get off of work, you spend all that time just not doing that thing. I don't know what it is to you particular. Maybe it's video games, maybe it's drinking, maybe it's watching TV or YouTube. But the point is that you're not doing that thing, and that is free time. And I know it's after work and you know you don't want to do anything, but that is free time nonetheless. And you're only thinking, oh well, if only I had all this time. Well, if you had all this time, you wouldn't do anything either. The thing is that we don't like doing work. Just in general. Brains don't like doing things that they don't have to. Go back to when you were in school, or if you still are in school. Those days off, you don't usually do something productive. You usually just do the thing that you were doing after work for the whole day. And this is why people in retirement or don't have to work, not even old people, just people don't have to work and stuff like that, tend to be lazy and tend to not really function that well. Because we need work to keep going, but we also need to do, well, we need work to keep going, and that includes things outside of work. You need recreation, of course, but we don't like to work when we don't have to. If you didn't have to pay bills, would you even go into your job? Or go in for the amount of time that you had to, etc. And being in this position, it means that I am pretty much accountable for all of my actions, especially because there's not exactly an audience that I'm speaking to that's gonna really care if I disappear. So I have to hold my own gun to my own head and then shoot myself if I fail. But what if I just didn't do that? And that's kind of what happened. After faltering for one day, I have found I eventually stopped. Now, I love sitting back and thinking about all the reasons why this happened and how tomorrow is going to be different, but things don't change. You just sort of one day have to do things, because that magical time at work is never going to come. You need to do stuff now, despite how AIDS it is. But I'm still partially in that void. Although I've been trying to do things that are productive, it is still very hard. I'm not saying this from a point of having everything figured out. It should be obvious that I don't. But what I am saying is that it's a lot harder for me to finish something than it is for me to start something. You get better at things through repetition, and I am really good at beginning these massive projects and sitting back and researching and doing all these things, basically making it so whenever I start this one thing, I'm going to be very good at it because I've already read up all about it. But then when it comes to actually starting it, I maybe do 2 hours or 2 days, maybe even a week of progress, and then one day I'm just like, I don't really feel like it, and then I never return. Maybe instead of starting stuff, it's time to finish something. However, what I want to do, there's not exactly an easy line to my goals. When it's something artistic, there's no do X and get Y. There is no point. You're going to be forever increasing and getting, well, different. I was going to say better, but usually people get different these days after they reach a certain point. And that, well, is also another thing. When you have something like a New Year's resolution, which is pretty topical right now, a year is a pretty unhuman amount of time. A week, you can understand. A day, you're living in right now. A couple hours, you can almost feel that. A year, you have no idea. It just doesn't seem real. And when 1 month passes, it doesn't seem like that big of a deal either, because it's only 1 month. You still have the rest of the year, but that is still 1/12 of the progress gone, and so forth. And by the time that you realize that you're running out of time, it's usually too late to do the thing that you want to do. And this relates back to what I was talking about with the whole artistic thing. How do you know when you are done? There is no one who's gonna say when a project is done. Projects just get abandoned. I'm sure your favorite movie or your favorite video or your favorite art piece or whatever, at some point they just had to walk away from it. They probably had a lot of gripes with it when watching it back, but there was a deadline and there was money involved. And even if that wasn't the case, let's say they just did it from themselves or whatever type of copium they say. If you go back to a project that you did 5 years ago, you probably would still want to change things. At least I hope, because that means you've grown as a person. Was that thing done? Well, yeah, because you released it. Does it mean that it's unfinished? Well, yeah, because now you want to make changes to it. But at some point you have to let it go, and at some point you have to start as well. And starting is the majority of the process, but it's very hard to get that going. I think I've rambled on long enough. I think you guys get the point. I am not saying that I am coming back either. I'm just saying I didn't die from COVID or whatever people are saying. I'm gonna try and make an effort to, but I feel like I've said this exact point in so many videos before.